Oh my gracious goodness. Hello, 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 and welcome. Welcome to Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies. I am Joy Ruffin. I work as a style and leadership consultant, a signature style specialist, speaker, executive producer, TV host, and podcaster. It's all connected, it's all aligned. And one of my joys tied into style work is meeting and bringing to you a lot of featured guest speakers who are all about sharing with you their journey and what they're all about. So I'm going to ask you tonight just to sit back and relax, whatever that means to you, and take it all in. Because tonight, my featured guest speaker, her name is Belle Niba. She helped me with the pronunciation there. She is the founder and business consultant with over 2 decades, you won't believe it when you see her, of tech and strategy consulting. She helps to provide this to businesses and individuals. I met Belle and I was very much impressed with the work that she's doing and her whole delivery. And she's from a part of the country that I love and adore and have been there several times. We'll talk about that maybe a wee bit later. But my friends, you're in for a treat because tonight we're going to be talking about the ultimate guide to how we all quiet that chaos, because we're working online in the box, in and out, but there's so much to staying focused and productive amid all the distractions. And my golly, we all have them. So friends, sit back and relax and welcome, always welcome, and help me welcome Belle Niba. Belle, come on up, as they say. How are you, Belle?
Hello. Such a pleasure and delight to be here and to be sharing this experience, having this conversation with your guests, your friends, your community, and those of my community that decide to join us.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. The pleasure is mutual because I'm absolutely thrilled with the work that you do. And I know that it's work that you love and you have a lot of passion for. So let's just get right to it, Belle. And I love the pronunciation of your last name, Niba, because everyone knows I have a hard time with pronunciation. So I wasn't going to pronounce it that way. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Belle, let's start off with the digital overwhelm. Why is it so major for all of us who work online to get more in sync with knowing what that's about so that we can be forceful and productive in how we deal with it?
Oh, that is a great question. Now more than ever, we are bombarded by information. It is unprecedented. This has been at a point in time where we've never experienced this kind of information overload. Now, it may not seem as an obvious or apparent thing, but it's something that happens, whether it is Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, there's the news, it's everywhere. Our mobile phones, keeping up with family, with business, it is coming from every single angle. How can you maintain focus? We are digital entrepreneurs, we have to live online. And in a busy and noisy space, we have to still be able to be productive. And I think that is an important conversation for us to have, because I see that's an area that even the clients that I coach, they struggle a lot with creating that balance.
You know, you talk about all of that so on point, maintaining. How do we maintain our mental clarity with all of this overwhelm that most of us are consumed with day in and day out? What are a couple of tips or nuggets that you can share? I know we have so much to cover here and so little time, but what can you share with us that will support us in getting more into the ability to maintain our mental clarity? What are some suggestions there?
So, one of the things that I like to point out to people is to think in terms of frameworks. But before we even talk about frameworks, let's think about habits, right? We all know that we're habitual creatures. We operate sometimes on autopilot. The subconscious takes over because it's been programmed to do certain things. Now, if we tap into that power and we now say, okay, subconscious, you can serve me, but I will be in the driver's seat. I'm not going to let you be the CEO of my brain. I'm going to be the CEO of my brain. That type of mentality, we can transfer that to business. And it's really the idea of using frameworks to come up with a structure. We have to operate now within structures so that we can tame the chaos. And so the very first tip that I would like to share around that is focusing our attention on where we want to go. And we can talk a little bit about that and then working our way back.
Well, you know what? That's crystal clear for me, and I'm sure for those who'll tune in. Well, let me say that you used a word there that most of us, for numerous reasons, we're not psychologists here, we're not going into the analytical aspects of it. We are so programmed for so many things that until we're able to tap into the knowing and acceptance of that, and then being able to transition and change it, we can get ourselves in a barrel of hot water. There's no question about that. So I love that explanation. And it's crystal clear for me, and I'm sure for many others. And you brought in that word that ties into where we're going next, because it's all about the power of routines, and that's acquiring and making the best habits for yourself. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Oh yes, and these are things I would say I've learned hard way. My background is in systems, working in large corporate environments. We're building systems, managing teams. So in that setup, it was just second nature. You just understand this is what we do. But when I got into business for myself and then started working with clients, I got caught in the weeds of things. I started reading books, and pretty much with every book that's teaching you how to do certain things, they're giving you a framework. They're telling you, okay, you want this outcome, you want to market your business, you can do a funnel, you can do this. They give you a framework. Now, when you're an avid reader and you're looking or taking courses and getting all this feedback on how to do things, it adds up pretty quickly. And you start asking yourself, what do I do first? And what do I do next? You have to start organizing that information in a way that you can use the information to advance or have some good progress in whatever you're trying to do, whether it's to build your business, lose weight, or you may be thinking someday I want to quit my job, or whatever it is that you want to do. You need a structured way to take all this insight, this info, and bring it into your life and make use of it. And so for me, that's where the routines come in. Because even when someone is saying, hey, I want to lose weight, if you don't have a structure that you're going to follow to help you get there, you will find yourself falling off the wagon pretty quickly when the motivation wears out.
I'm chuckling because it's so true. It's so true. And when you talk about routine and motivations, Belle, what came to mind while you were talking and explaining to us quite clearly is this thing called willpower. Well, if you don't have a plan or a structure or an outline of something that you're going to live by, even if you, I'm very much into human design now, and not everybody focuses on the same thing at the same time in the same way, but yet you have to have your strategy. That's what you're saying. And that daily strategizing and planning, whatever that is for you, it has to map out for you, or you're not going to be able to transition and change to where you want to go. So listen, this is how does one, if they're not used to that, if it's not something, and I'm guilty, I'm very, very guilty. I fly by the seat of my pants most of the time, changing that slowly but surely, structuring myself. But how do you begin to segue to being more focused and making the changes that needs to be? How do you begin to visualize that with hopefully the support and guidance of someone like you?
So that is another great question. See, again, coming from a systems background, I just thought, hey, I will go through this. I had my checklists, I would put in Excel sheets, and that got pretty chaotic pretty fast. And so for me, it starts where people typically don't think of starting. You start with your goals. And even when you're organizing yourself around goals, you have to really tune in to who you are, what you're about, and those are your core values. This is same thing you have to do even for your business. You start with your mission. What are your core values? When you anchor yourself to that, then you can work your way back.
Wow. You know what you said there? That's very, very powerful. And I don't throw shade and I'm not judgmental. People might think that I am, but I have a deep sense of knowing and a sense of aesthetics and discernment. And when you said that you have to know who you are and what your core values are, what I have discovered for myself in the work that I do, Belle Leadership and Signature Style Specialist, is that so many of us, and predominantly I work with women, I love men, men love me, I think, but we don't know who we are. We truly don't. We get all the surface stuff, but we don't go deep enough inside to understand what those core values are, the ethics, the principle, the character, the integrity, and the honor of who we are. That's not defined enough. So where do we go? How do we get that? I mean, it's all about an awakening. It's all about discovery of self, is it not?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. You've nailed it. It is about self-discovery. And there are methods and processes of doing that, but it is the right way. See, I'm someone that used to, and I still do. I set goals every year. I actually do it
Yes.
twice. I do it on my birthday, and I do it. My birthday's October, but I do it in October. It's kind of this milestone that I have to look at, the chapter that is closing and the one that's I'm beginning to write. So I go through that, and then at the end of the year, I do that. So it's a practice that I do. I invite people into. But even having had that habit of doing it, there was a missing piece, and this became apparent to me when I had that nagging, insane urge to quit a six-figure, corporate job where I was highly valued, corner office, the whole nine, and it seemed like I had lost my
Um,
and so I'm sitting there, negotiating with God, and I have this connection with you know the universe, as you would say, or how some people call it. But
yes.
I perceive it to be God, and I was having this moment negotiating and saying, everything is going good. Why am I feeling this impossible, unsettling feeling that I cannot continue one more day doing this job? I was trying to negotiate myself out of it, and I was completely out of alignment. I think that was the strongest thing that came to me. I was out of alignment, and I could not quite understand why. I went back to my goals. Things seemed to be stacked up correctly, but I was out of alignment. And so it forced me to start reinvestigating the way I was setting goals. Something was missing. And so as I started digging deep, reading and looking how other people were doing it, again, frameworks, I was looking at the different frameworks and trying to come up with what would work for me. The one thing that I found out that was the missing ingredient was that I had not properly aligned my goals with my core values. I had not given myself permission to really connect to that. And so I actually went on a personal journey, identifying what my core values are, and then
Wow.
connecting my big picture goals to that. And then I started working things backwards. So it's something that I do now with clients, even when they come saying, hey, I want a skill. I said, let's start with, who are you trying to become? Where are you? Who are you really? Let's connect the dots backwards.
Ah, Belle, you just gave us a truckload of value and priceless gems there, because the way that you described that in your whole description about you were highly valued where you were in the big dollars, but it's so much more than that. What are and what were your core values? And even though bottom line business is about dollars and you have to make money, there's so much more in developing one's skill and getting to the magic of them and finding out how you're going to feel good and support others to feel good as well. That in itself was a key. That had to be, though, Belle, as lightly as and beautifully as you described that to us, that had not to be for you an easy transition to make.
Oh, it wasn't easy, because when I sat and I was in my head trying to figure this thing out. What's obvious to me now, and this is where leaders like you, people like you helping other people come in, is you've crossed certain bridges that other people are trying to cross. They need
Yes.
you to make the transition easier, but you went through your growing pain to get there, right? There are things now that come to me easily, but it's because I've had 2 decades practicing and developing the muscle. So I can turn around now and make that easier for somebody. It wasn't easy trying to find my way, trying to really identify, who am I really? Because this translated in how I showed up. I had to say, and not just am I now, I was really thinking of, who is this person I want to become, this woman, and put her down and say, okay, I'm looking at her. This is how she is. This is how she shows up. So I put who this woman was and the kind of person that she was. She showed up a certain way, acted a certain way, did things a certain way. Then I had to look at myself and say, okay, the things that I want out of life, the some things that I would like to accomplish. Align them with her, and then start today to start saying, okay, I'm going to establish a process, which I'm going to share at some point, kind of a process that would help me progress incrementally toward becoming that person, toward achieving the things that I wanted to achieve, that we're all working towards this persona that I had now understood myself to be aligned with.
Wow. Belle, that was beautiful. Let me tell you why. You came in and started off with that muscle that we all have, and then you share it with us. But what you really said that really is potent for everyone to take in, regardless to what level you are in your business and the work that you're doing, everything takes time. The transition oftentimes, most times, it's not easy. But that wiggle room that you give yourself and you allow yourself to dabble into the discovery of self is well worth the time that you make, because most of us know that things don't happen overnight, yet we want things to happen overnight, right? So
Oh,
it's a double whammy in so many ways, isn't it? I mean, it really is. It's fascinating. And your description of how you went about that, discovering the core essence of who you are and the core values, I think, and I'm not a negative person, but this is just what I see and feel. I feel a lot of people, for different reasons, every generation, they've misplaced the core value. They haven't really gotten to that yet. They haven't dwelled deep enough inside to get to that. You're giving us a lot of juice here. I'm going to take a quick little break. I know you have a great little graphic and goodie to share with us later. I'm going to highlight it in my reset, but I want to take a quick little reset. Carilla's going to put you in the green room. I want to mention two things that I'm doing, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit more deeper, Belle, about systems and framework. That's what we want to talk about a little bit more. So hold tight. She's going to put you in the green room, and I'm going to be back with you in just a second. My friends, you cannot deny that every week I come to you with a leading lady. All different, all unique, all individualized, all special, all beautiful, with heart and soul in so many different ways. But underneath, the core value is that they're leaders in their circle and their arena. So what we're going to do is ask you to connect with them. The other thing I want to mention to you is that I have something up here that's talking a lot about what Belle and I are discussing tonight, your core values. There's nothing better than this. If you really want, I don't care how many cosmic alternative modalities you've gone to, I've gone to them all. This is going to give you much more insight into the depths of who you are. It's the best beginning seed that you can blossom out of that you're going to find. That's my freebie. It's pretty loaded. It's not 1, 2, 3. But yet, if you read through that, you're going to find there's a lot of good juice in there for you. And the other thing, I have a masterclass. I'm changing a lot of things around for the better. I want you to go here and register, because this masterclass, I'm going to be giving away a few tips and tools and nuggets and little giveaways, gifts for you. But this is going to be my last of this style, because I'm segueing and changing. But the style, your style now, step into your style. It's going to continue. It's just going to be different. This one will be the end of this segment, but we'll be coming back to you again. And I want you to take a look at Belle's graphic, because later on, we're going to show you a link where you can go and learn how to unleash your inner efficiency. God knows I need to go there, but we'll talk about that a wee bit later. And now I want to get back to Belle, because Belle, let's talk about this digital storm that we're all amidst and involved with somewhat. Systems and frameworks we spoke to lightly, but what else can you give us about being more orchestrated with our systems and our frameworks so that we can get going with where we need to be?
Yeah, so in my mind, I try to keep it simple. And so I really have a 5-part approach that I use personally. And so It's something to the effect of this. It's essentially 6-part, but I'm going to just go with the 5-part. Let's say you kind of know your someday, you know where you want to get. You've given yourself permission to dream, because that's another issue. People, I see it sometimes with people, and they will not even give themselves permission to say what they want. They edit that.
Yes.
But let's just say that you've been brave enough to own it and say, this is where I want to end up, who I want to become. You start with the year, whether it's a business or for your personal ambitions. Just sit down and just say, what do I want to accomplish this year? So let's do the simple version. What do I want to accomplish this year? 3 to 5 things. You work through getting your 3 to 5. You backcast. You don't try to break it quote, because some people say, okay, then what am I going to do every month? I say, no, don't even try that. I've tried that enough times to know that doesn't work very well. So what I do is I say, okay, what do I want to do? I use ideas from a book called The One Thing. So I look at Q1, for example. So let's say I was doing this for 2024. So I'm going to look at the year and say, okay, here's where I want to end up by December 31st. Here's what I would like to have seen happen. And I sit in that and I imagine that it's happened. It's kind of the whole visualization thing, and it's done. Then I say Q1, I start with the one thing. What is the one thing that if I had to do would make getting these things easier, or even get some of the things to be unnecessary? So it's a book called The One Thing. You should certainly check it out. Yes. It just helps me simplify my thinking and my focus. And so I am looking, because you build momentum. That's why I divide work into months, I will do a little bit. If I was going to lose 20 pounds, I'll lose two. I don't do it that way. You build momentum. So I start with the areas of the muscle or the things that I have to do or accomplish Q1 such that it will be easier for me to accomplish the annual goal Q2, Q3. It just has to make it easier. So then I have my Q1. Then I take from the Q1, I go to the weekly. Because your weekly is tied to your quarterly. You say, okay, this week, what are the outcomes that I'm going to go after that would help me hit the quarterly goal? And now you know what you're going to be targeting this week, your 3 to 5 things. You don't want too many. And then in the evenings, you plan your day for the next day. You start thinking, okay, what am I going to be doing? My 6 things or my 3 things. I have 6 doing tomorrow. That will make me getting my weekly outcomes easier. And so, again, that's kind of the very quick way. But I have an evening routine that incorporates this. I have a morning routine that is more of my mindset work and focusing myself for my day. But when I stack myself this way, so I don't have to keep thinking, am I approaching my goals? Am I meeting my goals? If I've already planned this way, then my intentions are already aligned towards where I'm heading. And then, of course, I use tools to organize how I approach business, personal. That's a whole different story. But I have tools and systems that make this go like a very smooth ride for me. So it's now part of the process.
Well, I think that all sounds great and a smooth ride for you. I can see that seeing you. But let me ask you this, because if you were to have, because most, at least I found this, might not be absolute across the board, but most of the people, the majority of people who are working online are, and I might get in trouble with this, but I'm used to trouble and I can take trouble, are a little bit more maybe creative than a lot of others. So their sense of organization and laying the foundation and having the structure might not be as crystal clear as maybe working in a more structured corporate environment. Does that make any sense whatsoever?
Oh,
Because
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, this is what I found that so when you're working with these people who are like me, who are extremely creative, I'm exaggerating to make a point. Is it harder to get them to focus and to lay that foundation with these 5 steps and to keep them in alignment with what needs to be to get to where they want to go?
And that is a great question. One thing I've learned is we try not to boil the ocean. I always meet people where they're at. So a lot of things that I do, at least from the way I approach these things, is templated. So we have templated and we get them using that structure. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Sometimes I dummy it down to the simplest way that they can at least start getting some kind of organization, some kind of success. We may not even start with your annual goals. We may just say, okay, what do you have to do this week? But then when we pick this week, don't give me a list of 20 things. We will work our way down, because you sometimes I would ask, literally, they'll send me like 20 things. I have to do all of these things. And I'm thinking, okay, we're going to do something that I learned from. We have to start chunking this up. Let's chunk it up and chunk it up till we get to the 3 to 5 outcomes you want. And each day,
Yes, Belle, you said something that resonates with me, because I've heard this said so many different ways in so many different types of circles, and it resonates to the marrow of my bones, is that you meet people where they're at. You send it out in chunks, you send it out in barrels, you send it out in little snippets, however, but you meet them where they're at, and that way they're able to assimilate and take in more or less what you're talking about. And that leads me to your last kind of point that you wanted to make here, this cycle of self-respect, because when you do that, you're able to keep them in alignment with who they are and help them to reach further, climb, soar. So let's speak to that, the intrinsic link about the self-respect and how you're going about this. I love that.
It's something that is demotivating. And again, I've been there. There's nothing I'm sharing that I've not lived. And I still live. I'm not perfect. I'm growing. I'm always learning. It is when you have a long list, or you have things that you set, and this is a big Achilles heel of mine, is I set these massive goals, and it's because I know I'm capable, but I have so many things that I have to do. So sometimes certain things don't get done. Then it becomes demotivating. And so what I've learned to do is to really, really reduce things to just smallest form and pick 6. The moment I see myself, I really borrow, and you would see me referencing concepts, because again, I read a lot, and I incorporate these frameworks into how I do things. Checklist
Yes.
manifesto, I use a lot of checklists. So daily, when I pick my 6 things, I try to make it the simplest version so that at least I could check those 6. Something as simple as call this person for do that 30-minute call. It's on the checklist. The daily team meeting that I have with my team, it's on the checklist. So I make sure that at least 6 things that I had thought about, that I was intentional about, are done. Then I can add to it. What that gives
Yes.
you start respecting yourself. You start knowing you're a doer. Because you want to know, who are you? Are you a doer? Are you a person that has personal integrity with yourself? Before you can have integrity with other people, you start with you. Before you can ask other people to respect you, you have to respect you. You have to show up for you. You have to do things you say you will do when you say you will do them. Now, you are going to fall off the wagon. I don't know. I haven't yet met anyone that hasn't. You will
Yeah.
fall off the wagon because it's a muscle you develop. So you will learn to forgive yourself and then continue.
Belle, I tell you, what you ended up here with is what I'm visualizing while you're speaking to all these truths, how you reduce it to, and the Achilles heel that we all have. But that digital presence that you want to have, you have to have that integrity and that truth within yourself, because sooner or later it's going to fade out. And starting again, we go back to the core value and the belief in yourself. I just think this is phenomenal. There's no accidents in life. You and I didn't meet by accident. We met by design. I know that for a fact, because everything that you speak is you're speaking to my DNA and what I believe and what I know to be for sure, with conviction. So I love that. Now let's speak a little bit, because time flies here. I don't know where it goes, but it just flies. And I say this, I say this every week, but you have something that you're offering for those who will want to know a little bit more about what you do and how you do it. So I'm going to ask Karil just to put up briefly your graphic, and then I want you to speak a little bit about that and what that entails, and then she'll put it back up a little bit later. But tell them what they're going to get if they opt in for this graphic, where I think it's some type of a quiz, right? There's so much on my noodle. Yes. All right.
Yes.
So she's going to put that up.
Oh, there it is. So
there it is.
What I put together is a quick and easy quiz that can help you just kind of gauge. It would, at the end of the quiz, it would kind of rate you and kind of where you are, with a few pointers as far as your productivity and efficiency is involved. And certainly, if you need additional help, we will identify. I would certainly reach out to you, but you can also book a free 30-minute consultation for us to kind of look at opportunity areas and how you can do it. I know we were going through this. Is a limited time, so I will be able to delve deep into your personal situation. I only have a limited of these slots available because I have. So those that will certainly be first come, first serve, and I would definitely be looking to serve in this way.
Well, you know what? I love that, Belle, because I am definitely going to take this quiz myself, because one of the things that you mentioned and alluded to, which I know for sure, is we have to be honest and true with ourselves. And organizational skills and the structure is not my strong suit. It's not. I'm not in that wheelhouse yet, but I want to be. So I want to learn and take in as much as I can to get there. So I'm going to take that. And you're also speaking about a digital presence that we all need, and it has to be filled with integrity. So I'm loving that. I'm loving that. Now, let me ask you this: Unleash Your Inner Efficiency. I love that title. In addition, Karil has the link underneath. They're going to take a screenshot or a snapshot and get to you. What else are you going to leave us with? Because the time flies here. Just a brief 1, 2, 3, whatever you want to leave us with, a takeaway, and then I'm going to put you in the green room. But thank you for all of this absolutely priceless information. The stage is yours.
Absolutely. I think what I would like to leave is, even if you're feeling concerned, like, oh my goodness, I don't even want to make a weekly commitment, I strongly want to encourage. And if you're already doing this, you are already ahead. Give yourself a morning routine, whether it's 30 minutes, whatever it is. Come up with 3 things you do to start your day. Don't roll into your day. Start your day with intention. And how you perceive that to be. Personally, I start my day every morning 5 a.m. or 5:30. By 5:30, I'm out walking for an hour. I meditate while I walk, and I do my gratitude. It's just part of my routine, so I set the tone for my day. So even if you don't want to start doing checklists or doing any of that, set the tone for your day in the mornings, and then close your day still with gratitude, but always ask yourself at the end of the day, what went well today?
Yes.
So at least yourself so some
Love it.
looking back, and so that you're closing your day in a way that you can sleep better and know you're going to do better the next day.
Absolutely. Oh, Belle, that was great. And I tell you that is something that we all need to do. I'm taking away everything, but the thing that I'm going to start with, I've heard so many times before and I haven't, is a good checklist. I'll go with that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Carilla's going to put you in the green room and I'll be with you in just a second. I cannot tell you how much I enjoyed this. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
My friends, let me just share this with you. Every leading lady that I bring to you, your assignment is to connect with her because we just never know. And this lady is full of structure and systems and all of that stuff. And even as she said, if you have it, you never know what you could learn, maybe that you don't have. So make sure you connect. I leave you every week with the same thing. Much, much, much love. All my love I'm sending to you. Do embrace it and take care of you first so that you can look after all the other people who need your love and your wisdom. Be and stay well. Always the very, very best. Much love. Cheers. Can't believe.